Success often gets misunderstood. People see someone winning and assume they were lucky. But more often than not, it's not about luck. It's about quiet, repeated effort. Consistency may not look exciting on the surface, but it's the real driver behind long-term results. In a world that celebrates shortcuts and viral moments, consistency remains the most underrated but most reliable strategy. The difference between luck and effort. Luck is passive. It's something that happens to you. Effort is active, it's something you choose. While you can't schedule or control luck, you can choose to be consistent every single day. People sometimes confuse luck with timing. They assume that someone's breakthrough was due to chance. But more often, that person had been working behind the scenes for years. They showed up, put in the time, and got better over time. When the opportunity finally came, they were ready, not because of luck, but because of preparation. Consistency builds skill, skill creates advantage. Every time you repeat a task, your brain and body adapt. You become more efficient, more confident, and more skilled. These aren't sudden changes, they happen gradually, layer by layer. The more consistent you are, the faster this development occurs. When you're consistent, you also start spotting patterns. You notice what works and what doesn't. You refine your approach. Over time, this gives you a huge advantage, not because you were born with talent, but because you stayed long enough to grow into it. Why people choose luck over discipline? Luck is tempting. It's fast. It promises rewards without effort. It's why many fall into the trap of hoping for a big break instead of building a path to success. But chasing luck is like trying to catch the wind. You might feel like you're moving, but there's no direction. No structure. No control. Consistency, though slower, builds something real. It doesn't rely on external conditions. It doesn't wait for the right mood. It just requires one thing, that you show up. The role of patience in consistency. Consistency and patience go hand in hand. If you expect immediate results, you'll get discouraged. But if you understand that growth takes time, you'll stay committed, even when there's no obvious reward. Many people give up not because they lack ability, but because they expected fast results. They weren't prepared for the slow pace. They didn't see that progress was happening, just not visibly. Consistency is about staying on the path, even when the results are still beneath the surface. How habits shape identity. What you do regularly becomes part of who you are. If you write daily, you become a writer. If you train regularly, you become fit. It's not about how intense your actions are, it's about how consistent they are. These small actions, repeated daily, create a new identity. And once that identity forms, your habits become easier to maintain. You no longer rely on motivation, it becomes automatic. Luck doesn't create this shift. Repetition does. Trust built through consistency. In work, business, and personal relationships, people trust what is reliable. When you are consistent, people know they can count on you. You become someone who delivers, not occasionally, but always. This trust brings opportunities. Clients return. Employers promote. Teams follow. Not because you were lucky, but because your results can be predicted, and that's valuable. Unpredictable people may get attention briefly, but consistent people earn long-term respect. The long game versus quick wins. Quick wins feel good. They create excitement. But they don't last. They're often not repeatable. You might get a temporary spike in success, but without consistency, that spike fades. Long-term success isn't built on one moment. It's built on a chain of steady, persistent actions. It's less about how fast you start and more about how long you last. Those who play the long game eventually outperform those chasing fast results. Not because they were more talented, but because they stuck around. People wait for the right time. They wait for inspiration, motivation, or perfect conditions. But progress doesn't wait. Time keeps moving. By showing up consistently, you increase your chances of being in the right place at the right time. Not because you predicted it, but because you were present. You were in motion. Consistency multiplies the number of chances you give yourself. The more chances you create, the more likely it is that one will turn into something big. Consistency survives when motivation fails. Life gets busy. Obstacles come up. If your success depends on how inspired you feel, your progress will stop often. But if you've built consistency, you move forward anyway. You show up when it's boring, when it's hard, and when it feels like nothing is changing. That's what creates compound growth, steady effort, even in low moments. You can build your life on chance, hoping that luck will eventually land in your favor, or you can build it on consistency. One looks fast but is unpredictable. The other feels slow, but it's solid. Luck may give you a temporary advantage, but it fades just as quickly as it appears. It's not within your control. And relying on it keeps you waiting, hesitating, and second-guessing yourself. Consistency, on the other hand, gives you control. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the important things regularly. Over time, this builds trust in yourself. You start to believe in your ability to follow through, and that belief changes everything. Ultimately, you must decide, do you want progress that depends on random moments, or do you want results built through steady action? The choice is simple, but the discipline takes effort. The most successful people didn't get there by waiting for the perfect moment. They got there by showing up, whether or not the moment felt perfect. And that's the real difference. The mental shift that changes everything. To stay consistent, your mindset must evolve. You have to stop measuring progress by how you feel and start measuring it by what you do. Some days will feel productive, others won't. But feelings aren't facts. What matters is that the work gets done. This mindset shift moves you from being reactive to proactive. Instead of waiting for a good day, you create one. Instead of hoping for results, you earn them. It removes the guesswork and gives you a sense of control. Over time, this mental shift becomes a powerful tool. It helps you handle stress better, stay focused longer, and bounce back faster from setbacks, because you're not tied to outcome. You're tied to action. Consistency builds a reputation. The world notices consistency. Maybe not right away, but over time, it becomes clear who can be trusted. Employers, clients, customers, audiences, they value reliability more than brilliance. Consistency builds a track record. It shows people that you're not just capable, but dependable. It separates professionals from amateurs. Not because your results are always perfect, but because your presence is. In any industry or area of life, being known as someone who shows up consistently is one of the most valuable reputations you can earn. A common mistake is assuming that only big steps matter. But most progress happens through small, repeated actions. These are the daily choices: waking up on time, practicing a skill, refining a process, making improvements. They don't look impressive alone, but together, they build momentum. Small wins create energy. Each one builds on the last. And when you stay consistent, these small wins compound. What once felt difficult becomes second nature. What once felt impossible becomes your new normal. Big outcomes are simply the result of small actions done consistently over time. Being consistent doesn't mean doing the same thing forever. It means being committed to the process of improvement. That includes learning, adjusting, and evolving as needed. Those who rely on luck often freeze when things go wrong. They don't know how to respond. But those who are consistent have something better: feedback. They track what works, what doesn't, and make small improvements without losing momentum. That's how you stay relevant in a changing world, not by hoping it favors you, but by constantly improving your ability to meet it. Consistency is a skill you can train. It's easy to think of consistency as a personality trait, something you're either born with or not. But that's not true. Consistency is a skill. And like any skill, it can be practiced, refined, and improved. Start small. Focus on showing up every day, even if the task is tiny. Build a streak. Track your progress. When you slip, and you will, get back on track quickly. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is persistence. Over time, this practice of staying consistent becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it becomes part of your identity. Inconsistent effort often leads to painful cycles. You get inspired, take action for a few days, lose motivation, and stop. Then you feel guilty, fall behind, and have to start all over again. This cycle repeats, wasting time, draining energy, and weakening your confidence. You begin to doubt yourself. You start to wonder if you're capable. But the problem isn't ability, it's inconsistency. When you commit to being consistent, you break that cycle. You avoid the emotional roller coaster. You reduce decision fatigue. You stop wasting effort on restarting, and instead, you build forward momentum. Consistency protects you from burnout caused by unrealistic sprints. It removes the need to always feel motivated. It lowers the pressure of perfection. You do what matters, even in small doses, and that builds a stable, calm, and productive rhythm. You also avoid regret. You don't look back and say, "I wish I had stayed with it." You know you did. And that alone brings peace and confidence. In a world chasing shortcuts and overnight results, consistency is often overlooked. It's not loud. It doesn't demand attention. But it quietly builds the life others hope luck will deliver. Success doesn't come from random opportunities falling into place. It comes from showing up, especially when it's hard, especially when no one's watching. That steady effort becomes your edge. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's dependable. While others wait for their moment, the consistent ones create it. While others rise and fall with motivation, the consistent ones stay the course. And in the end, it's not the person who worked hard once, or who got lucky once, it's the person who kept going. So if you're wondering where to focus, start with what you can control. Show up. Do the work. Stay consistent. And let time do the rest. Because luck might open a door, but consistency is what keeps it open.